So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Amy Galley, and I am the Director of Wellbeing and Accessibility upstairs on the second floor. And I teach social work as an adjunct here as well, and I'm also the Title IX coordinator. So I'm sure many of you maybe have heard my spiel or a spiel from me before, so it's nice to see you again, and thanks for coming. So what we want to talk about today is being well at Western, finding strategies for happiness at Western and beyond. And this is very important today. We're all wearing our masks. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and this has affected people greatly. The data is starting to come in regarding the pandemic and increasing feelings of anxiety, of disconnectedness, of loneliness. And so these strategies are more important now than ever. So I know Stacy said to mute your phones, and I would prefer that you mute them, but do not shut them off, because I'm going to ask you to take them out here in a couple different times throughout the presentation. So striving for balance. We really need to strive for balance, and we encourage college students of all ages to strive for balance in their lives. It's important for the pursuit of happiness. So at this time, I'd like you all to stand up. This is a very interactive presentation. Stand up. And I know that we all have our masks on, so this is going to feel a little bit different than it traditionally does. But if possible, I'd like you to close your eyes. And now I want you to pay attention and take a deep breath in through your nose and breathe out slowly through your mouth. And begin to feel your body sway. Can you feel at times we go side to side, we circle around, we're not in perfect balance. So continue to breathe and keep your eyes closed. Adjust your feet if you need to, engage your core a little bit, and continue breathing until you notice that you're becoming more and more balanced and your weight is evenly distributed. And again, continue breathing until you feel perfectly still and balanced. Take another deep breath and open your eyes when you found that center and that balance. Okay, have a seat. So balance does not always come naturally. It's something we have to think about and work at. Balance is important, and it adds to one's happiness, but both take time, consideration, and a bit of effort, but happiness is achievable. And so is balance. So that's just a quick example of a very brief meditation and breathing exercise that can kind of ground you. And maybe you can even just take a moment and do that on your own. And maybe you're in a setting where nobody will even notice you're doing that, and it can just help kind of center you. So that's an example of a great balancing exercise. So current statistics. Over the last several years, we've seen increased mental health concerns really across the board, but specifically increased with college students. So in the last 10 years, 2 times the depression rates in 20-year-olds, 60% of college students report anxiety, and 50% report feeling overwhelmed. So, and many of us of all ages oftentimes feel that happiness is out of reach, or we feel that happiness will be achieved when we reach that next milestone, when you're out of school, when you pass this class, when you earn enough money, when you get married, when you get engaged, that there's always a milestone that will bring happiness. And those milestones do bring happiness, but they're actually fleeting. So at this time, I'd like you to I want to do a quick temperature check with you guys. Take out your phones. And I'd like you to go text Amy Galley 114 to 37607 to join our group. And once you do that, notice, I want you to rate how happy you feel. Just with all things considered, what is your overall rate of happiness on a scale of 0 to 10? 0 being not happy at all, and 10 being very happy. And again, for 10, you text a K. For 0, you text in an A once you've joined the group. Okay, so we'll let a few more answers roll in. And so here is a good temperature check of where we are. We have some people very, very happy. But overall, a lot of people in the 3 range, in the 6 range, some 0s, some people who are not happy right now, with all things considered. So answers are still rolling in. So this kind of gives you a little example. We're all at different places, right? Very few of us are a 9 or a 10. Okay? So, as we move out of this, we're going to get back to another poll here in a bit. So, let's see. So here is where I'm going to kind of give you just some basic tips. These are not earth-shattering. They're not new. But they're things that we as human beings, not just you as students, but human beings don't do on a regular basis or with fidelity. And so, but these are things that research has shown make us happier. They make us healthier. And happy people, research actually shows, tend to make more money, reach different milestones at a different rate. It doesn't seem, so being happy actually adds to your success. It's not the success that brings happiness. So happiness and being content is quite important. So again, basic self-care skills. You hear this a lot, right? Sleep. We need sleep. It's important for our physical and our mental health. Move. We need to be physical. We need to get outside, whether we go for a walk, whether we're gardening. There's actually research that shows actually being in the dirt is healthy for us. It's good for our mental health. We need to limit substances. We know nicotine, caffeine, drugs, alcohol are not good for our overall health, and they're also not good for our mental health as well. Even though those things at times they come across like, boy, I feel better when I do that. That feeling of euphoria or that feeling of well-being after doing some of those things, whether it's caffeine, nicotine, whatnot, it's short-lived and also can possibly have other ramifications that actually make it way less likely to be happy and healthy. So this is tough in these days, right? Releasing, put down your phone. Limit your screen time and limit social media. So I'd like you to get out your phones again. And if you have an iPhone, I know where it's at. It might be a little different on a Samsung. But go to your settings and check out how much screen time. How much you have used your phone. So what I'd like you to do, okay, so now I'd like you to text in. This is a new poll. So again, you should be in our group of 37607, but what is your average screen time per week? Hours. How many hours per week?
Question.
Yes.
On the Samsung, once we get into our settings, where do we go to find out these?
I don't know exactly. I know that, let me grab my, so on my iPhone, if you go to, there's an actual screen time under settings. So I don't know if Samsung, does anyone know how Samsung checks theirs?
I don't think there is anything.
Isn't there anything? Okay. So as we look at this, and what you can do on the Apple, again, I'm sorry, I don't know Samsung phones that well. You can actually see what apps you're using the most, what screen time. I can tell that last week I used my SiriusXM app the most. You can tell a lot of data. So the bottom line is that data is there for you to use. And look at where we're at. So about 7 hours seems to be the most. 7 hours a week that we're using our phones in some way, shape, or form. So, suggestions. Put down your phone. Put down your phone at least a minimum of 30 minutes before you try to go to bed for optimal sleep. Perhaps turn off your phone completely. Charge it in another room. I know a lot of us, myself included, use my phone as my alarm clock. But you can also, on an iPhone, set limits. So my family did this exercise last night, and I was like, oh my gosh. And an iPhone will also tell you how many times you pick up your phone and click that screen. And it is amazing how much we are actually tied to that phone. And the phones are not making us happy. But I really pick up my phone a lot. I really was like, oh, I spent an hour on Facebook that one day? That is crazy. So on an iPhone, you can set limits and set a timer, and once you hit that time on Facebook, you don't get back on that day. So start using those tools to limit your social media time, your screen time. Turn off notifications. Those are very distracting to us, and we feel an urge to respond and check those notifications. And remember how much time just in this room we're actually spending on the phone. So, another very important thing, and so important during this time in our lives, is connection. So there's been a lot of studies and research shown about even drug abuse and substance abuse. And part of the treatment of substance abuse disorders is actually about connection, about connecting with other people. We are social animals, and we are meant to be with other people. And that's why this pandemic can really put a strain on us that we would not have imagined even a year ago. So we are built to be with other people. And connecting with others is a main way that we become happy. And that's not through the phone. So even though the phone does allow us to connect with other people, it's actually artificial. It's not the connection that our brains and that we need. We don't need that kind of connection. We need real connection. Although technology has allowed us to maintain connections when we were quarantined and social distance. And so it's actually a blessing in some ways, a curse in other ways. And so we need to, again, find that balance with that. Connect with yourself. Take that moment, just as we did in the very first activity, to kind of reassess how you're feeling that day, what you need. Are you feeling balanced? Are you not feeling balanced? What's going on with you? Are you liking your classes? I mean, we all have some we love, we also have some we hate, but are you in the right major? Are you in the right place in your life? Taking some time to really be introspective and look at yourself and connect with yourself as well. A great way to connect with other people is to participate in campus activities. We know students that are engaged on campus do better, mentally, physically, and also academically. So participate in campus activities. It might be a lecture, it might be a colloquia like this. It may be open mic night. It could be an RA event at housing. It could be a guest lecturer coming in. It could be a lot of different things, but being a part of the campus community is important, and it's important for your success. Develop friendships. So being friends with somebody is very important, and we need to maintain those friendships. You need to feel like you have people that you can count on and that can count on you. Be with your family. Keep your family connections going. Zoom, FaceTime. Many of you might be from this area, and it's pretty easy to keep those family connections going. Some of you may be from out of the county, out of the state, and so you might have to work a little bit harder to maintain those connections while you're far away, but Zoom them, communicate with them, talk to them, and get involved with service. Look for an activity outside of yourself to help others, to be kind. It might be as simple as getting in line at the bookstore and letting someone with a big load, with their arms full, go ahead of you. But look for ways to be involved in service or kindness to others. It actually benefits us much more than it benefits the person in which you've been kind to or that you've done service for. It benefits us emotionally and physically. So you have to work at this, right? So you have to do what fills your cup. We all have different things that we like, enjoy, that recharge us, that make us feel good. And what fills my cup is not going to be what fills your cup. It's going to be different than what fills your cup. It's going to be different than what fills your cup. We're all different. But identifying, part of connecting with yourself is knowing what fills your cup. Is it going to lunch with friends? Is it gardening? Is it going for a walk? Is it reading a book? All of those things, what fills your cup? Knowing what makes you feel recharged and centered. Practice some of the happiness skills that we just went over. Create happiness habits. So one of the things that we're going to kind of go into a little bit more is that happiness is a process. We have to work at these strategies to be happy. We have to keep going. Happiness just doesn't come to us or befall us. It's not a situation of good luck. We have to actively work and do things to make ourselves happy. And that's not to go spend $1,000 shopping. Again, that's a fleeting type of things. But some of the things that I've mentioned earlier are things we can consistently build into our day, build into our schedules, and build into our lives, and make them a habit. And focus on meaningful work with limits. I think a lot of us in this day and age think that if I just work hard enough, if I just stay at work for 12 hours instead of 8 hours, if I do more, that I'm going to get a reward for that, and that is going to make me happy. So maybe it's in the form of a promotion, maybe it's in the form of money or financial gain, maybe it's for status, and that will temporarily make us happy. But that happiness is fleeting in that moment. When you hear the cliche that nobody on their deathbed says, I wish I would have spent more time at work, it's a cliche because it's true. Because the other things make us happy. But part of work is that it should be meaningful. You need to do those things to fill your cup and maybe set limits with your work. Maybe take a break now and then. Maybe instead of 12 hours a day, working 11 at first. Maybe taking a half day off here and there. Whatever it might be, setting some limits to spend time with your family, friends, and doing the things that really are important. But part of that also is finding something that you love to do, and that you find meaningful and purposeful. And part of that, again, is connecting with yourself. So the last thing is gratitude. Practice identifying the good daily. Knowing what is going well. Sometimes as human nature is that we focus on, this isn't going great. There's a pandemic. I got to go to this colloquia. I've got these things to do. And we focus on what we might perceive as a negative, but let's focus on what's going well. Simple things. Is somebody willing to share something that's going well for them? School? Okay. School's going well. I would hope we're all healthy, right? We're here. We're together. We're healthy. So, we're making it through this tough time. I'm grateful. In fact, when we went into quarantine, I remember literally being like, I am so grateful this isn't 1918 because I get to watch Netflix and get caught up, and I can Zoom my friends, and I can Zoom my family and FaceTime my family, and I'm grateful for that technology, right? I'm grateful that I have those resources because 100 years ago, they did not. I'm grateful. Anybody else grateful for anything?
I spend a lot of time working the oil field away from my family, so college is nice because I'm grateful to see them every day.
Yeah, you have an opportunity to really be with the people that you love on a consistent basis. Because oil field work is long and hard. I mean, it is 7 days a week, right? At times. 45 and 5. That's a long time to be away from your family. So it gives you an opportunity, right? And I think the pandemic in ourselves gave us an opportunity to be with our family, to be in the same house again maybe. And even though it might have also presented some challenges, there are always things to be thankful for. And some days are bad, right? But we just have to remember that there's always something to be grateful for. Some days you might have to say, hey, I'm grateful for indoor plumbing. That's what I'm grateful for today. But that's okay. There's something. We can look within and find something to be grateful for. So the key is to be happy with your life and in your life now versus what is coming your way. So what inspired this this presentation is actually a podcast. And I'm going to let the creator of this podcast kind of let you know the data behind this. And does this work? So the podcast that I'm referring to is called The Happiness Lab with Dr. Laurie Santos. Dr. Santos is a professor at Yale and teaches one of the most popular classes on happiness on Yale's campus. So obviously being a student at Yale is probably wonderful, but full of pressure and all of that. I think they expected 100 or so students, and they ended up having I think 1,200 students enroll in this class and had to actually use their big auditorium to take this class. She has a podcast that is free on your podcast app, and she also has a class that you can actually register for the Yale class and take it online for free. Part of that is her research in that these tools do work. So we'll let Dr. Laurie Santos talk about this herself.
Platt, my colleague at the Yale Porvu Center for Teaching and Learning. Belinda has been my partner for the past 2 years as I've tried to figure out the best way to teach people around the world about the science of happiness. Belinda's amazing. Her hard work is a lot of what's made the online class so successful. But neither of us expected the response we got.
I had no idea how popular it would become at all, just because none of the other courses that we've worked on made such a splash. The enrollment is well above 300,000, which is super cool.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. But like with my nerdy scientist hat, I really want numbers. And one of the craziest things about the course is actually like the data that we're getting. When students enroll in our online class, they take a standard well-being survey. The specific one we use is called PERMA. It's a 23-question survey that measures people's overall happiness, their mood levels, their sense of accomplishment, and even their sense of meaning. Students are asked to take the PERMA quiz before they start the class and at the end of the course 10 weeks later. Excitingly, we just got our first round of data in, over 1,000 subjects. We finally have a scientific measure of whether learning about the science of happiness can change people's well-being. What did we find? We just have the graphs. Here are the papers moving around, and the data are amazing, frankly. So on every different measure, from positivity to engagement to meaning to just general happiness, people get better. The gains are really huge. Like on a 10-point scale, people are going up an entire whole point in terms of how much meaning they feel like they have in their life. But on the happiness measure, people are starting at about, a 6.5 on the happiness measure, which is, reasonable. And then after the class, people are saying about a 7.9, which is so cool. The awesome thing about these data is it suggests people can change. Like this is a 10-week class and people are bumping up a whole point on a happiness measure, which is incredible.
Yeah.
But why is the course changing people's?
So that is from the first episode of the Happiness Lab with Dr. Laurie Santos. So these things are proven, not just in her rudimentary data, but throughout literature and research. That's not to say that these things alone are always the answer for everybody, right? Some people have serious mental health concerns that require other services, counseling, perhaps medication or medical intervention. But these things usually are still part of that process. And so they're really worth considering and worth making it a part of your life now. So I want to let you know a little bit about what we do here at Western and at the Office of WellBeing and Accessibility. So we offer the relaxation room, and so we help with that. We offer personal counseling free for any student enrolled in a credit earning course, various workshops, accessibility and disability services, events, prevention and education, and we also offer you at westernwyoming.edu. So that can be found on your student portal. It's a button that says You at Western. You click on that. The first time you get in there, you set up a profile, and it does identify the topics of interest that you're interested in, but you can type in there, I'm feeling depressed, and it's going to refer you to our office, to local resources, to articles that you can read, to temperature checks, that you can really take a quiz and see how you're doing as far as your mood. So it's really handy. Again, it has reality checks for all kinds of things, for sleeping, self-administered quizzes that help you determine how you're really doing and if your life is really in balance. And it also offers referrals for, again, campus services and off-campus and community services. It's really a good resource for you. Tons of articles. The articles are updated, I think, every 7 days, but you can favorite them, come back to them later. But a lot of really good information for both academics, wellness, and social kinds of things. So we really recommend that students check that out. But other things to check out. The Happiness Lab with Dr. Lori Santos. If you Google Yale Happiness, you will be able to also find the link to register for that online class. And again, that's offered by Yale for free. Office of Student Life, get connected. Talk to Alex Nelson and see what clubs, activities, things like that you can be a part of. Our office, the Office of WellBeing and Accessibility, for personal counseling. And that's not to say that, I think sometimes people have a feeling about counseling. Sometimes it's just to reinforce these things. Sometimes it's just to have someone to bounce ideas off of. Have somebody who's non-judgmental to maybe be able to vent to. It doesn't necessarily mean something's wrong. We have a lot of students that come for organization, a lot of students that come just to be able to express really how they're feeling and make that connection with somebody. Our number one diagnosed issue is anxiety on Western's campus. Our number two is depression. Courses, take a class, see what Western has to offer that would help you build these things into your daily routine. Yoga, fishing, dance, whatever your interests are, take a class and build this into part of your routine. So, in conclusion, balance is not something you can find, but it's something you create. And balance will lead to happiness and well-being here at Western. So, with that, I'm going to put up the QR code, but I also want to field some questions about our services at Western, about any questions you have regarding general well-being or concerns.